All right. Hey, Parker. So I'm going to try to make this as efficient as possible. There's a lot I could get into. There's a lot of obviously programming going on for a 5-day split with all this different stuff, but you'll quickly catch on to what everything is and why I do what I do. But um, yeah, I'm just going to go through this relatively quickly. So this is the block that I was running from December 1st up until this last week. So it was about an 8-week block, and I'm switching blocks tomorrow. So this is what an 8-week block kind of looks like for me. I programmed this one myself, not my coach. So this is all my philosophy and how I like to train. So this is day 1 of the week pull. I do calves twice a week. So I do calves on Mondays and then Thursdays for equal rest times between every day. And just 3 sets, 10 to 15 reps, high volume on a machine. Pretty straightforward. This 100% here is percent difficulty. So instead of there's multiple ways I can prescribe with Bridge, the software that we use. But there's percent 1 rep max. You can link a percent max. So if I wanted to do standing calf raises based on a percentage of my barbell back squat, if I wanted to do that, that's how I would do that. Percent of my body weight, or I can literally just put absolute weights, weight ranges, or percent difficulty, which is what you're primarily going to see throughout this program. So 100% difficulty is just basically to failure. So it's going to track based off what I do for 10 to 15 at maximum. And then that's going to give me a range for if I want to do a set to 8 to 12 or whatever else, it would auto calculate that. So it's basically using an algorithm based off what I've done in previous weeks to calculate what I could do for certain rep ranges. This single arm lat pull down, this is the 2 top sets, 1 back off set that I talked about with you the other day. And you're going to notice that these stay the same. That's not periodized. Particularly, it's just I'll do 12 reps on this day at 100%, and then it's going to give me a range to work in throughout the rest of the weeks. And I'll just kick the 12. If I do 12 at 80 pounds on week 1, I'll just kick it to 10 pounds, and then it should give me a realistic weight for that at 85 or 87 or whatever it is. So that does auto calculations for me. That makes a ton of help. Chest supported pin row. For this, I actually did calculate a 1 rep max. So a while back, I calculated a 1 rep max. I max it out a 10 reps at 75% 1 rep max. And then based off how that set goes, I will edit this to it's always going to be in the 6 to 10 range, depending on how I want to work on it. This one I actually didn't periodize. I normally do. So I would normally start with 15, go to 12, 10, 8, and then through on it would be 6. And then I would just go back again and go 15, 12, 10, 6. The Smith machine row, we added this in kind of last minute. I ended up changing things. So this is just 2 top sets. 2 really heavy sets of 8 to 12. By this point, I've already gotten 4 back movements in, so I'm not going to hammer a ton more volume. This is just a secondary vertical pull. So vertical pull, horizontal pull, vertical pull. I do 2 and 2 usually. And then down here, I split my things up because shoulders and arms are a weak point. I changed it from, like we talked about the other day, being bro split 1 muscle group per day. I felt like I was lacking not touching my arms and shoulders at least twice a week. So that's what I brought up to him. And we changed it, therefore, to pull and push so I can touch my shoulders and triceps on the push days and my biceps on my pull days at least twice a week. Get some more volume in. I'm a big fan of training arms, pretty high volume. I haven't got them to grow with low volume, so I'm just trying different shit. That's pretty much what that is. Moving on to day 2. This is being really slow. Okay. So looking through on my push day here. This hammer strength plate loaded incline. Like I talked to you about, everything in here is going to be pretty machine based, offers a high degree of stability. The more stable you are, the less joints you have to worry about moving through space. Obviously, the more force you can produce. So, again, starts at 10 reps, kick it down to 8, kick it down to 6, go back and just kind of repeat that process, pushing 5 extra pounds each time. Machine flat press. So we have, anytime I do chest, I try to get at least one incline movement, one flat movement, and then a fly. So then here, a seated roller cable fly. I take a foam roller, I put it on the bench, and that allows me to kind of pin my scaps together on the foam roller and really emphasize that outward chest position for a higher stretch. Kind of a over the top exercise a little bit, but I get a crazy pump from it, really enjoy it. My first tricep movement, I try to do some sort of push down and then an overhead just to kind of get both planes. So pin loaded dip machine, 8 to 12. I like any sort of push down movement. I prefer to train in a really heavy type rep range. And I know that you probably hear 8 to 12 and you're like, that's not really heavy. But in terms of bodybuilding, most people aren't going below 8, maybe 6. So that's relatively heavy for bodybuilding style training. Conversely, the skull crusher, anytime I've ever loaded up an overhead movement really heavy, my elbows get fucked really quickly. So anything overhead is going to be a lot higher rep range, just because it's a lot easier on my elbows over the course of 8 weeks. Shoulders, just one exercise, machine lateral raise, super high volume. Again, tried training my delts in low volume ranges. They didn't grow. So I'm just trying something different, training them in a high volume range. Only one leg day a week. Legs are not judged in the division that I compete in. So no need for 2 leg days, at least at this point, while I'm in the division I'm currently in. I start with adductors, primarily just to open my hips and get blood flow. I do train them really, like this set of 10 to 15 is intense. It's not just a light warm-up set, but they're high volume more so because I need to have enough reps that I actually get a good amount of blood flow there and get a pump to open things up a little bit before I get into my squatting movement. Kind of seems backwards here, but I actually do leg extension before I get into my squatting pattern because it's a lot easier on my knees. Never used to do this because what does the book tell you, right? What does general scientific knowledge say? Well, your force output is going to be the highest when you're freshest, right? That's why we do power stuff first. True, 100% true. But it doesn't matter to me if I progressively overload my hack squat because I put it first. If I progressively overload it for 4 weeks, that's great. But if my knees get so fucked because I loaded it so heavy the first 4 weeks that I can't even do it pain-free the next 4 weeks, it doesn't matter. So from a longevity perspective and a joint health perspective, I found that doing an adductor movement, doing a leg extension, and then I actually even started to do some hamstring movements before that hack squat. I feel just as strong actually, but way looser and more in tune with the squat movement when I get there. So again, these are 10 to 15 at that max out range. This is a 2 top set, 1 back down set on the leg extension. Any sort of accessory leg movement, like an isolation movement, like a leg extension or a seated leg curl or like a lying hamstring curl, those are going to have generally like a 3-1-1 tempo, maybe a 3-2-1 tempo. It's under control. It's a lot of squeezing, a lot of fatigue caused there. Big primary movement for the day is hack squat. Seated leg curl, again, sometimes I do that up here depending on how loose I feel. Other times I do it to split up the leg press and the hack squat. So I'll go like adductors, technically lower push, lower push, and then some pull down here with a hip loaded calf raise. So yeah, that's leg day. Again, you're going to see a lot of these 8 to 12s, 8 to 10, 10 to 15s at the 100. That's the percent difficulty because I'm not going to calculate a 1 rep max for a hip loaded calf raise machine. This algorithm gives me weights each week that I should be hitting based off the rep range, and that kind of does the trick for me. Getting into the arms and the shoulders, these are my weak point days. So my week looks like Monday, Tuesday is pull, then push. I rest on Wednesdays, legs is Thursdays, arms are Fridays, shoulders are Saturdays. I think we talked a little bit about that, so I won't go too deep into it. But basically, that split and the way I set my week up allows for the most recovery possible throughout a given week for every single muscle group. So putting the rest day and then the leg day, my push should be fully recovered, even though it's only triceps over here. My triceps should be fully recovered by the time Friday rolls around from a Tuesday push session. I hit pull on Monday. My biceps should be fully recovered by the time Friday rolls around. And then conversely, I'm not going to hit biceps or triceps again till Monday. So Friday, I get Saturday, Sunday completely off. Should be fully recovered, at least biceps, by Monday. So yeah, that's that. Again, overhead movements doesn't feel great anything less than 10 reps because of how heavy it gets on a failure set. So that's 10 to 15. Plate loaded preacher curl, 8 to 12. Those are pretty heavy. Plate loaded dip. Again, any sort of push down movement I like to load up as much as possible. So that's 8 to 12. Hammer curl, 10 to 15. As you'll notice here, I go overhead, push down, and that's it. So it's three bicep, 3 tricep on my arm days. Plate loaded dip, a cable rope hammer curl, and then a cross body extension. Really like this for high degree of stretch and the pump that comes from it, but getting really big in the bodybuilding world about joint angles and hypertrophy and stuff. People love it. So I really enjoy the exercise, whether research supported it or not. I really enjoy it. So I also try to add in as much variability with single arm stuff and bilateral stuff. So I'll do a single arm, at least one single arm movement for my arms each day. So I got a single arm preacher machine curl for biceps, and then that first movement was a single arm overhead cable tricep extension. And if it doesn't say cable in any of these movements, it's probably cable. If it's dumbbell, it usually says dumbbell. Shoulder day, again, kind of not reverse programming, but it's that same mentality that I always used to just do a general, rotator cuff warm up and some shoulder mobility and then jump right into my press for shoulders. My shoulders got pretty jacked up pretty quick. So in terms of longevity, I feel a lot better when I do a rear delt movement and a lateral raise to get general blood flow to the area and loosen things up before I press. So reverse pec deck, 8 to 12, machine laterals, 3 by 8 to 12, because keep in mind, I did machine laterals as well on my push day in the 10 to 15 rep range. So then on the shoulder day, because I'm going to do a lot more shoulder volume throughout the rest of the day, I condense the volume and make those heavier because I'm going to get a lot of other volume on some of my other lateral raise movements. Just 3 sets of a shoulder press. Nothing ridiculously crazy there. Lateral shoulder raise, supersetted with a bent over cable reverse fly for rear delts. So just 4 movements, hammer them out, or 5 movements, 2 for rear